I know you guys have wondered why the nastiest, meanest people are the most successful, while people like myself, who are loving and kind, tend to befall a pauper's fate. Now, we see this happening all throughout our country and now all over the world. And we fail to understand that there is this witch war that is going on between empaths, spiritual people, and narcissists and energy vampires. And we've seen these witch wars play out before on television. In Game of Thrones, there was a witch war between Cersei Lannister and Daenery Targaryen. And in later movies like Cruella, there is this witch war between Estella and the Baroness. Yet, we have no idea how these energy vampires / narcissists actually steal our ideas, our money, and even our energy. And when they do this, they're able to claw their way to the top and attain great success. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can protect your energy from these narcissistic energy vampires, win this witch war, and be the success of your own fate. And naturally, we're going to do this by analyzing Disney's Cruella. So stay tuned for that. Estella and the Baroness are fashionistas. However, Estella is born poor. She's neglected by her biological mother and raised almost in abject poverty in a country town outside of London. Estella is wild by nature. She exhibits many of her mother's feral and ambitious traits. She can't be tamed. And as a result, she is repeatedly punished and almost expelled from her countryside school. Now, what many people fail to understand is that creative people, by their very nature, are empaths. It's not because we're weak or overly sensitive. It's just that we have a special connection or relationship with Mother Nature. Let me explain to you how and why. In my other videos, I beat your ear up about energy and ashe and life force and chi. I explained to you that you really can't do much without it. And if you want to manifest or do any type of magic, you need ashe, you need energy. The tricky part is that many of us are disconnected from nature. And when I say disconnected from nature, I mean our human nature. The best way to explain this concept is to think about energy as money. Now imagine nature is this huge bank account that you can make withdrawals from, and you can make these withdrawals anytime you need it. And if you're a good person or empath, you can make withdrawals as long as you're in good standing with the bank that is known as Mother Nature. And naturally, empaths tend to have a good standing and relationship with the banks, aka Mother Nature, and thus they can make withdrawals when needed and when necessary. However, the energy vampire or the narcissist doesn't have a good relationship with the bank. Or they had a great relationship with the bank, but ruined it due to foreclosures, late fees, delinquencies. You guys get my drift. So with no money or energy, the narcissist has to steal it. And once they have this energy, they need to protect it. If we take a look at the Baroness from Cruella, we can see how she exploited her workers and almost everyone around her. She had no qualms about stealing people's ideas and even murdering people if they got in her way. Sadly, this was the case for poor Catherine, Estella's caretaker. Catherine visited the Baroness in her home to seek aid for Estella, only to be attacked and killed by the Baroness's vicious dogs. This left poor Estella bereaved, orphaned, and forced to scavenge and steal to survive. She meets her fellow cronies, Jasper and Horace, and thus they start a new life of high crime and deception. Another thing that is important to understand is that narcissism is almost like a curse that is triggered by some type of traumatic event. Estella never had to worry about money before because she had a caretaker. But once she was killed, Estella realized that she was on her own and she needed to fend for herself. Sadly, this is the case with many narcissists and energy vampires. Somewhere down the line, they lost their sole source of energy, whether it be a loving parent or a spouse or even a sibling. And since there was no one around to guide them or teach them how to tap into the forces of nature, they were reduced to stealing energy. And that's what an energy vampire, aka narcissist, does. They steal. They steal everything.
The alley, really. You can own alleys. Alleys, designs, people, their souls. Check your employment contract.
They do this because they can't generate power within themselves, and also because they can't make any withdrawals from the bank account that is known as Mother Nature. As a result, the narcissist becomes a predator, constantly looking for more prey. Their egos and their appetites for exploitation grows. This happens because society rewards many narcissists with more fame and adoration, and yes, you guys guessed it, they reward them with even more energy. As a result, the narcissists are constantly looking for their next mark, casing joints, and even sizing up people to see how they can exploit them. Now, with all this said, it's important to understand that Estella and the Baroness were both narcissists. We had empathy for Estella because she was, of course, born an orphan. However, as the movie unfolds and Cruella, Estella's alter ego, starts to shine through, we see her become more vicious and cruel and mean. She belittles Jasper and Horace and adopts this haughtiness that is off-putting to everyone, including the audience. This is what happens when you pit a narcissist against another narcissist. There is this tug of war, or witch war, so to speak, where one will always try to outshine, upstage, or take down the other. Which brings me to my second point about narcissists. Since they can't replenish and get energy from nature, they're forced to get their energy supply strictly from other people. As a result, they tend to take on all the negative attributes and personality traits of the people they are around the most. We saw this when Estella became more and more like the Baroness. She steals her vintage dresses, upstages her at her own black and white ball, and even kidnaps the Baroness's Dalmatians. Now, Cruella says that she wants to get her mother's charm back, a necklace that one of the Dalmatians ate, and she wants to avenge her caretaker, Catherine's death. And it seems like she wants to do this by any means necessary. But yet her good friend Jasper, probably one of the few people who actually loves her, cautions her about going in too deep and losing yourself to the dark side. And even Cruella has to stop herself from being as wicked and as devious as the Baroness herself. You see, as a narcissist grows in power, so does their ego, and so does their sense of entitlement. So after a while, they feel like they can do anything, including murder, and get away with it. Their sense of entitlement eats away at their empathy, enabling them to rationalize their bad decisions and, yes, their bad behaviors. It's them or me, they tell themselves, or there are always going to be casualties in every war. The narcissist, aka energy vampire, is always in survivor mode, and everything about what they do is all about their own self-preservation. As a result of this, they can't develop or even maintain intimate relationships. Thus, they drift further and further apart from their nature, their human nature. The Baroness felt no remorse for stealing other people's ideas, for murdering staff, even ordering the disposal of her own baby. The Baroness was a narcissist, a freak of nature who feasted upon the energy of her subordinates and fans. For years, she seemed unstoppable until Cruella knocked her off her throne. Some would say that Cruella was able to do this because she was reconnecting with her nature, her Mother Nature. She was plugging back into the source, tapping into Mother Nature's bank account to make some important energy withdrawals. And by doing this, she became powerful, more powerful than the Baroness. And with that power, she was then able to defeat the Baroness without being as evil and ruthless as she was. And as a result of this, she regained her humanity, was able to reconnect with nature, and she was able to find peace. She inherited the home, the fortune, and the fame that was rightfully hers. And more importantly, she no longer had to steal or deceive or pretend that she was something that she was not. So what's the moral of the story? Narcissists create other narcissists, but also one can stop the pattern of narcissism by reconnecting with nature. They can do this by getting their energy source from Mother Earth and not from other people. If you see yourself as a victim of a narcissist abuse or an energy vampire, just remember that when you connect with your nature, you can withdraw significant amounts of energy. And when you withdraw that energy, You can use that energy to defeat the narcissist, to heal yourself, to control your life, and to find your own success.
And that, my friends, is the only way to defeat the narcissist.